You arrive by water. The air is different here, cooler than you expected. There's salt in it and something older, stone that has absorbed centuries of seawater and sun, now breathing it back into the night. You feel the weight of the air before you see much of anything. It settles on your skin, damp and soft, carrying the faint metallic sweetness of algae and tide. The boat moves slowly. You don't know how long you've been on the water. Time feels loose here, unmoored. The engine hums low, a distant vibration more than a sound. Around you, the Bosphorus stretches wide and dark, its surface folded into gentle swells that catch and release the light from distant shores. The water is black but not empty. It holds depth. You can feel it beneath the hull, a presence, ancient and patient. Ahead, the city begins to emerge, not all at once, but in layers. First, the bridges. They hang suspended over the strait, vast and glowing, their cables strung with soft golden light that seems to pulse faintly, like breath. You watch them for a long time. The lights don't flicker or flash. They simply exist, tracing the shape of the crossing, two continents linked by filament and steel. The glow reflects on the water below, long shimmering columns that ripple and dissolve with each passing swell. You notice how the reflection is never still, always reforming, always just out of reach. Behind the bridges, the city rises in quiet tiers. Lights scatter across hillsides, small and clustered like embers scattered across a dark shore. You can't make out individual buildings yet, just the glow, amber, gold, sometimes white. The lights don't shout. They sit low and patient, waiting. You feel the immensity of the place without needing to understand it. Layers upon layers of stone and wood and glass, all breathing together in the night. The boat drifts closer. You begin to notice shapes, domes, minarets, the silhouettes of rooftops stepping down toward the water. They don't announce themselves. They simply appear, soft against the deeper blackness of the sky. Some are lit from below, their curves outlined in pale gold. Others are dark, their presence known only by the way they interrupt the stars. The water laps gently against the hull. You hear it more than you feel it. A quiet slap, rhythmic and unhurried. Somewhere behind you, another boat passes, its engine a low murmur that fades quickly into the distance. The wake it leaves reaches you seconds later, a gentle rocking that you don't resist. You let it move through you. The air smells faintly of diesel now, mixed with salt and something herbal, rosemary maybe or thyme, drifting from an unseen garden along the shore. It's not strong, just a thread woven into the night. You breathe it in slowly, feeling the coolness settle in your chest. You pass close to the shore now, near enough to see the old wooden houses leaning into the water, their facades painted in faded colors you can only guess at in this light. Pale blue, perhaps, ochre, rust. The windows are dark, but some glow faintly from within, curtains drawn, lives lived quietly inside. Lanterns hang from a few of the doorways, swaying slightly in the breeze. Their light is warm and small, like candle flame. There are people along the waterfront, but not many. A few figures sit on low stone walls, their silhouettes still, facing the water. One is smoking. You see the faint orange glow rising and falling. No one speaks. The night doesn't ask for it. A ferry passes on your left, larger than your boat, its windows bright rectangles of yellow light. You glimpse passengers inside, some standing, some seated, faces turned toward the glass. They blur as you drift past. The ferry's horn sounds once low and resonant, a note that travels across the water and fades into the hills. You feel it in your ribs. The bridges are behind you now, but their light still touches the water. You glance back once and see them suspended in the distance, delicate and enormous all at once, their glow softening as the space between you grows. Ahead, the shoreline curves gently. You follow it without deciding to. The boat knows where it's going. You let it carry you. You pass beneath the shadow of a minaret. It rises tall and slender, pale stone, catching just enough light to separate it from the sky. You tilt your head back and follow its line upward until it disappears into darkness. Somewhere above, a speaker crackles faintly, but no call comes. Just the suggestion of it hanging in the air. The water grows quieter here, sheltered by the curve of the land. The swells flatten into something smoother, almost glassy. You can see more of the city reflected now, smears of gold and amber stretching across the surface, trembling slightly with each breath of wind. It looks like a second city, inverted and softer, existing only in the water. You drift past a small dock. Wooden posts lean at angles, ropes coiled on the planks. A rowboat tied their rocks gently empty. Its paint is peeling pale green beneath the grime. You wonder how long it's been there. How many nights it's spent like this, rocking in the dark. The boat slows. You're moving so gently now that the water barely stirs. The engine quiets to almost nothing. Around you, the city continues to glow, patient and layered, revealing itself in pieces. A dome here, a line of windows there, the faint outline of a tower. You don't try to name them. You let them remain shapes, soft and distant, part of the fabric of the night. The air grows cooler. You feel it on your face, your hands. The dampness clings to your clothes, but it's not uncomfortable. It's part of being here, part of the water and the stone and the slow passage of time. You notice the sky beginning to shift. Not light, not yet, but a thinning. The blackness softens at the edges, becomes charcoal, then ash. The stars fade first, one by one, their light swallowed by the approaching dawn. The city's glow grows paler in response, less certain. The bridges lose some of their warmth. The lights along the shore begin to look tired. The water changes too. It's no longer entirely black. You can see texture now, small ripples, the faint grain of current. The reflections scatter and reform, less vivid than before, but clearer somehow, more defined. You drift past another cluster of buildings. Their windows are still dark, but you sense the stirring inside. The city is beginning to wake slowly in the spaces you can't see. Somewhere a door closes. Somewhere a light switches on. Somewhere water runs. The boat turns slightly, following the curve of the shore. You see a low stone wall ahead, and beyond it, a narrow street rising into shadow. Lampposts glow softly along its length, casting small pools of light on cobblestones. A cat sits at the base of one, watching the water. It doesn't move as you pass. The sky continues to lighten, not dramatically, just steadily. The horizon begins to separate itself from the water, a thin line of pale gray growing whiter with each moment. The hills across the strait become visible, their shapes emerging from the darkness like something remembered. The city loses its glow, its lights no longer necessary. They remain on, but they're fading, their purpose dissolving into the coming day. You feel the change in the air. It's warmer now. The coolness that carried you here is lifting, replaced by something softer, something that holds the promise of sun. The salt smell remains, but it's joined by others baking bread somewhere far off. Diesel, the faint sweetness of fruit left too long in the heat. The boat eases closer to a stone embankment. The engine cuts entirely. You hear the water more clearly now, lapping against the wall, against the boat, a conversation in a language you almost understand. The city rises before you, tier upon tier, its details emerging slowly in the growing light. You step onto the stone. It's cool beneath your feet, solid. The boat rocks gently as you leave it, then settles again empty. The city waits, not eager, not impatient, just present. The night is ending, but the dark hasn't left entirely. It lingers in doorways, in alleyways, in the spaces between buildings. The light is spreading, but gently finding its way into cracks and corners, touching the edges of things first, rooftops, balconies, the tops of trees. You stand on the embankment and feel the stone beneath you, the water behind you, the city ahead. The air is soft. The sky is pale. The first birds are beginning to call, tentative and quiet, testing the morning. You begin to walk. You walk along the shore as the light spreads. The embankment curves gently ahead of you, following the water. The stone beneath your feet is smooth, worn by decades of footsteps and tides. It's cool still, but warming. The air has softened further, carrying with it the first real warmth of morning, tentative and clean. The Bosphorus stretches wide beside you, no longer black. It's gray now, tinged faintly with silver where the light touches it. The surface is almost still. Small ripples move across it, slow and deliberate, catching fragments of the sky. You watch them for a moment, the way they drift without hurrying, without breaking. Ahead, you see figures. Fishermen scattered along the waterfront, standing alone or in pairs. Their lines are already in the water, thin threads disappearing into the gray. They don't speak. They stand with a kind of stillness that feels earned, bodies angled slightly forward, eyes on the water. One smokes a cigarette, the ember bright against the pale morning. Another adjusts his reel, hands moving with practiced ease, unhurried. You pass close to one of them. He's older, wearing a wool jacket too heavy for the season, faded blue. His rod is propped against the low stone wall, the line barely moving. He doesn't look at you. His gaze is elsewhere, fixed on a point in the water only he can see. A white bucket sits beside him, empty except for a coil of spare line. You notice the salt stains on the stone beneath it, pale and crusted like small maps. The water laps gently against the embankment. You hear it more clearly now that the engine noise is gone. A soft, rhythmic sound, patient and endless. It doesn't demand attention. It simply continues, the way it has for centuries, lapping against the same stones, the same wooden posts, the same docks. Somewhere behind you, a gull calls. Then another. You look up and see them gliding low over the water, wings spread wide, barely moving. They ride the air with effortless precision, tilting slightly to adjust their path, dipping toward the surface and rising again without effort. More join them, arriving from somewhere unseen, their white bodies bright against the gray sky. They don't rush. They circle and drift, following invisible currents, calling to each other in voices that are sharp but unhurried. One lands on a wooden post nearby, folding its wings with a soft rustle. It watches the water, head tilting slightly, then preens, pulling at the feathers beneath its wing. Another gull sweeps past, low enough that you hear the air moving through its wings, a faint whisper of motion. It banks and settles on the stone wall a few meters ahead, its yellow eyes bright and alert. The fishermen ignore them. They've learned to coexist, these men and these birds, both here for the same reason, both patient in their own way. One gull hops closer to a bucket of bait, curious, and the nearest fisherman waves a hand lazily. The gull lifts off without complaint, settling a respectful distance away, waiting. You continue walking. The embankment widens slightly, opening into a small plaza paved with irregular stones. Benches sit empty, their wooden slats damp with dew. A few lampposts still glow faintly, their light unnecessary now but still clinging to the night. Beyond the plaza, you see the entrance to a narrow street, its buildings leaning inward, their facades painted in colors that are just beginning to emerge from the gray, peach, pale yellow rust. But you're not ready to leave the water yet. You stay along the shore, following the curve of the land. The light continues to grow, not dramatically, just steadily. The sky is no longer gray but something softer, warmer, cream with edges of pale gold where the sun is beginning to push against the horizon. The water reflects this shift, its surface brightening, losing its opacity. You can see depth now, texture, the suggestion of current beneath. A small boat passes, its engine a low murmur. An old man sits at the stern, hand steady on the tiller, his face weathered and calm. He doesn't look toward the shore. He's focused on the crossing, moving from one side of the strait to the other, a journey he's likely made 1,000 times. The boat leaves a gentle wake that reaches the embankment minutes later, rocking the hulls of the moored fishing boats, disturbing the water only briefly before it settles again. You come to a low wall where more fishermen are gathered. Their rods are propped at intervals, lines taut, tips angled toward the water. They murmur to each other in low voices, words you don't understand, but the tone is familiar, easy, companionable, the sound of men who have stood here together many mornings. One pulls in his line slowly, hand over hand, checking the bait. He frowns slightly, rebates the hook with a piece of something pale and soft, then casts again, the line arcing out over the water and disappearing with a small splash. Another fisherman pulls something in. The line goes taut, the rod bending slightly. He reels steadily, not rushed, his face impassive. The fish breaks the surface, small, silver, twisting against the line. He lifts it free of the water, removes the hook with practiced fingers, and drops it into his bucket with a soft thud. He rebates and casts again, the motion seamless, already forgotten. The gulls notice. Several lift off from their perches and drift closer, circling overhead, their calls sharper now, more insistent. One dives low, skimming the water near the bucket, but the fisherman doesn't react. He's seen it all before. The gull rises again, disappointed, and settles back on the wall to wait. You drift past them, your footsteps soft on the stone. The air smells of salt and fish and something faintly sweet. Jasmine, perhaps, or honeysuckle, drifting from an unseen garden above. The warmth is growing now, settling over everything, softening the edges. You feel it on your face, your shoulders. The coolness of the night is retreating into the stones, into the water, leaving behind something. Ahead, you notice movement. A small cafe tucked into the base of a building that faces the water. Its shutters are open now, pushed wide to let in the morning. Inside, light glows warmly, yellow and soft. You see a figure moving behind the counter, unhurried, arranging something you can't quite see. You step closer. A few small tables sit outside, simple metal chairs painted white, slightly rusted. No one is seated yet, but the tables are ready, waiting. On one, a single tulip-shaped glass sits, steam rising from the amber liquid inside. Tea. You can smell it now, strong, faintly astringent, mingling with the salt air. Another glass appears on a different table, set down by a man in a white apron. He moves slowly, wiping the surface of the table with a cloth before placing a small saucer beside the glass. 2 sugar cubes, wrapped in paper. He glances toward the water, checking the light perhaps, then returns inside without hurry. You linger near the cafe, not sitting, just watching. The warmth from inside reaches you, mixing with the cool breeze off the water. You hear the faint clatter of dishes, the hiss of a kettle, the low murmur of a radio playing somewhere in the back. The sounds are muffled, distant, part of the texture of the morning rather than intrusions. A man arrives, settling into one of the chairs with a sigh. He's dressed for work, pressed shirt, dark trousers, a bag slung over his shoulder. He reaches for the tea glass, wrapping his hands around it, and stares out at the water. He doesn't drink right away. He just holds the warmth, letting it seep into his palms, his gaze distant and soft. The steam rises between him and the Bosphorus, blurring the line between them. Another person joins, then another. They don't sit together. Each takes a separate table, claiming their own small piece of stillness. The glasses appear, one by one, delivered by the man in the apron, who says nothing beyond a quiet word or two. The morning doesn't ask for conversation yet. You turn away from the cafe and continue along the shore. The waterfront is waking now, slowly. More figures appear, a woman walking a small dog, its leash slack. A young man on a bicycle, pedaling without urgency, weaving between the fishermen and the gulls. An elderly couple, arm in arm, moving so slowly they barely seem to be moving at all, their steps synchronized, their faces turned toward the water. The light is fuller now. The sun hasn't crested the hills yet, but its presence is undeniable. The sky is pale gold, streaked faintly with pink at the edges. The water has turned blue, a soft, muted blue that deepens toward the center of the strait. The bridges in the distance are no longer glowing. They're solid now, real, their details sharpening in the morning light. The gulls continue to glide overhead, their numbers growing. They swoop and rise, following the fishing boats, trailing the ferries, their white wings catching the light. They call to each other constantly now, a cacophony that somehow doesn't feel chaotic. It's simply part of the soundscape, woven into the lapping water and the distant hum of engines and the murmur of voices beginning to fill the streets behind you. You reach a point where the embankment ends and the street begins. The stone gives way to cobblestones, uneven and worn smooth by time. Buildings rise on either side, their ground floors occupied by closed shops and cafes not yet open. Metal shutters are still down, but you sense the stirring behind them. Lights flicker on in upper windows. A door opens somewhere above, and a woman steps onto a small balcony, shaking out a rug. Dust motes catch the light, swirling briefly before settling. You glance back once at the water. The fishermen are still there, lines in the water, bodies still. The gulls circle. The tea glasses sit on the tables outside the cafe, steam no longer rising, the tea cooling in the morning air. The Bosphorus stretches wide and blue, boats moving slowly across its surface, the city reflected in pieces along its length. You turn and step into the street. The air changes. It's warmer here, trapped between buildings, carrying different smells. Bread baking somewhere nearby, coffee, the faint sourness of old stone and damp wood. The light is softer too, filtered by the narrowness of the street, by the balconies overhead, by the laundry strung between windows. The city is waking. You feel it in the rhythm of footsteps beginning to echo off the walls, in the sound of shutters being raised, in the distant call of a voice you can't quite make out. The stillness of the shore is fading, replaced by something slower, gentler, but undeniably alive. You move deeper into the streets, leaving the water behind but carrying its coolness with you, its salt, its memory of gulls and fishermen and tea glasses catching the first light of day. The old city waits ahead, layered and intricate, unfolding slowly as you walk toward it. The streets narrow as you move inland, the buildings leaning closer, their walls painted in shades you're beginning to recognize: ochre, cream, pale rose. The cobblestones beneath your feet are uneven, worn smooth in the center where countless footsteps have passed. The light here is still soft, filtered by the height of the buildings, by the angle of the sun not yet fully risen. You turn a corner, and the space opens. Sultanahmet. The square spreads before you, wider than you expected, paved in stone that glows faintly in the early light. It's nearly empty. A few figures move across it, distant and unhurried, their footsteps echoing faintly off the surrounding buildings. The air feels different here, open, expansive, but still holding the coolness of night. You walk slowly into the square. To your left, gardens stretch in ordered rows, trees casting long shadows across the paths. Benches sit empty beneath them. A fountain trickles somewhere nearby, the sound soft and continuous, barely audible over the faint rustle of leaves. You don't see anyone sitting. The benches are waiting, patient, as if they know the crowds will come later but for now belong only to the morning. Ahead, the presence begins to reveal itself. Not all at once. First as a shape, massive and quiet, rising against the pale sky. Then as detail, curves and stone and the suggestion of weight held impossibly aloft. Hagia Sophia. You don't name it yet in your mind. You simply see it. The way it sits, grounded and enormous, its domes layered one upon another, each smaller than the last, ascending toward a single point that seems to gather all the light around it. The stone is old. You feel that before you understand it. It's a color you can't quite name, pale gold in some light, gray in others, tinged faintly with rose where the sun is just beginning to touch it. The walls rise smooth and unbroken, punctuated by windows set deep into the stone, their arches dark and shadowed. The windows catch the light strangely, reflecting it back in ways that make the building seem to breathe. You move closer. The courtyard surrounding it is paved in pale stone, swept clean, almost luminous in the early light. A few trees grow at the edges, their branches still, their leaves catching the first warmth of the day. You hear birds calling from somewhere within them, small voices that rise and fade without urgency. You stop walking and simply stand. The building doesn't demand anything of you. It simply exists, vast and quiet, its presence undeniable but not overwhelming. You notice the way shadows pool at the base of the walls, the way the light slides across the surface of the stone, revealing texture, cracks, repairs, the faint lines of mortar between massive blocks. The stone has absorbed centuries of sun and rain and wind. You can see it in the color, in the way some sections are darker than others, stained by time and weather. The dome rises above, immense and somehow delicate. You tilt your head back and follow its curve upward. Windows ring its base, tall and narrow, their glass dark from this angle. You imagine the light inside, the way it must pour through those windows, filling the space below with something soft and golden. But you don't enter. You don't need to. The exterior is enough. Its weight, its silence, its absolute stillness. You turn away slowly and cross the square. To your right, another presence emerges. The Blue Mosque. It announces itself differently, more slender, more vertical. 6 minarets rise from its mass, pale towers that climb into the sky, each topped with a pointed cap that catches the light. The building spreads wide, its domes clustered together like a gathering, supported by walls that curve and arch with a kind of grace you feel more than see. You approach the outer courtyard. The entrance is open, a wide archway that leads into a space enclosed on 3 sides by a colonnade. You step through and the sound changes. Your footsteps echo faintly off the stone, softer than before, absorbed by the openness of the courtyard. The space is square, paved in the same pale stone, and at its center sits a fountain. The fountain is octagonal, carved from white marble that glows faintly in the morning light. Water flows from spouts around its perimeter, falling into a basin below with a sound that is less a splash and more a murmur, continuous and unhurried. The water is clear, catching reflections of the sky, of the surrounding arches, fragmenting them into shifting patterns. You move closer and see the detail, intricate carvings along the edges of the marble, worn smooth in places by hands that have rested there. The water pools and drains, a rhythm that feels ancient and necessary. Steam rises faintly from the surface, not thick, just a suggestion of warmth meeting cool air. Around the courtyard, the colonnade stretches in a graceful curve. Arches rise from columns, each arch framing a section of shadow. The columns are slender, their surfaces smooth, their capitals decorated with carvings you can't quite make out from here. The arches create a pattern, repeating endlessly, drawing your eye around the space in a slow, inevitable circle. You walk along the colonnade, staying in the shadow of the arches. The light falls in stripes across the stone floor, bars of gold alternating with bands of cool gray. You step through them slowly, feeling the shift from warmth to coolness and back again. The air smells faintly of stone and water, with something else beneath it. Incense, maybe, or old wood, or simply the accumulation of time. A few figures move through the courtyard, but they're quiet, their presence barely felt. A man kneels by the fountain, washing his hands slowly, methodically. He doesn't look up. A woman sits on a low bench beneath the colonnade, her head tilted back against the stone, eyes closed. She's not asleep, just resting, just being. You find your own place to sit. A section of stone bench along the colonnade, smooth and cool beneath you. You settle there and let your gaze drift. The fountain continues its murmur. The light continues to shift, growing brighter now, pushing the shadows back toward the edges of the courtyard. The minarets rise above, their forms sharp against the pale blue sky, and beyond them you see the domes, layered, curved, impossibly balanced. You notice the way sound moves here. Your breath, the rustle of clothing, the soft scrape of a shoe against stone, all of it echoes faintly, multiplied by the arches, the columns, the enclosing walls. But it's not loud. It's absorbed somehow, softened, as if the courtyard itself is listening. A pigeon lands near the fountain, its wings making a soft clapping sound. It hops closer to the water, dips its beak, drinks. Another joins it, then another. They move around each other without conflict, their small bodies casting smaller shadows on the pale stone. One preens, ruffling its feathers, shaking droplets of water that catch the light briefly before disappearing. You close your eyes for a moment. The sounds continue without you watching. The murmur of water, the faint cooing of pigeons. Footsteps, distant, crossing the courtyard somewhere. The rustle of leaves from trees beyond the walls. Beneath it all, a deeper silence, the kind that doesn't require the absence of sound but exists alongside it, underneath it, holding it. You open your eyes and the courtyard is brighter now. The sun has found its way over the surrounding buildings, pouring into the space with sudden warmth. The marble of the fountain glows white, almost blinding. The shadows have shortened, retreated to the bases of columns, to the spaces beneath arches. The light reveals details you hadn't noticed, patterns in the stonework, the faint discoloration of age, the way the arches aren't quite identical, each one carrying subtle variations. You stand slowly and move back into the open courtyard, into the full sun. The warmth settles over you immediately, soaking into your shoulders, your arms, chasing away the last of the morning coolness. You turn in place, taking in the whole space. The colonnade encircling you, the fountain at the center, the massive form of the mosque rising beyond, its domes layered against the sky, its minarets climbing upward, impossibly slender, impossibly tall. You cross back through the archway and into the square. The space between the two buildings, Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque, feels charged somehow, not with energy but with stillness, with the weight of their presence facing each other across the open stone. You stand in the middle and look from one to the other. They're so different in form, but similar in the way they command the space, in the way they settle into the earth as if they've always been there. The square is beginning to fill now, slowly. More figures appear, walking with purpose or wandering without it. A group of tourists gathers near a guide who gestures toward Hagia Sophia. A vendor sets up a cart at the edge of the square, arranging bottles of water in neat rows. A man sweeps the stones near the garden, his broom making soft, scratching sounds that fade into the growing hum of voices. But the morning stillness hasn't left entirely. It lingers in the shadows, in the corners, in the spaces between people. You feel it in the coolness of the stone beneath your feet, in the way the light is still soft despite its brightness, in the echo of the fountain you can no longer see but still hear faintly, a memory carried on the air. You begin to walk again, not toward the buildings but away from them, toward the edge of the square where narrow streets branch off in several directions. The streets call quietly, their shadowed openings promising something smaller, more intimate, alleyways and courtyards, shops and hidden corners, the maze of the old city waiting just beyond the open space. You glance back once. Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque sit in their places, vast and still, their domes catching the light, their walls holding centuries within them. The square spreads between them, stone and shadow, and the slow gathering of the day. A few pigeons lift off from the ground and circle once before settling again. You turn and step into the nearest street. The buildings close around you immediately. The light dims, filtered through balconies and overhanging eaves. The air cools. The sound of the square fades behind you, replaced by the echo of your own footsteps and the distant murmur of lives being lived just beyond the walls. Voices, the clatter of dishes, a door closing somewhere above. The narrow streets pull you forward, deeper into the layers, away from the grandeur of domes and courtyards, into something more tangled, more human, more maze-like and warm. The street is narrow enough that you could stretch your arms and nearly touch both walls. The buildings lean inward, their upper floors closer together than their bases, creating a tunnel of stone and wood and faded paint. The light falls in fragments here, broken by balconies overhead, by shutters pushed open to catch the morning air, by laundry strung on lines that crisscross the space above. You walk slowly, letting the street guide you. The cobblestones are uneven, worn smooth in the center where generations of footsteps have passed. Some are loose, shifting slightly beneath your weight. You hear them click and settle, a small sound that echoes briefly before being absorbed by the closeness of the walls. The air is cooler here, sheltered from the sun, carrying the smell of stone and old wood and something cooking somewhere, onions perhaps or garlic, frying in oil. Doors line the street, each one different. Some are painted blue, green, rust red, the paint peeling in places to reveal older layers beneath. Others are bare wood, weathered gray, their surfaces cracked and warped by time. Most are closed, but a few stand open, revealing dark interiors you can't quite see into. You catch glimpses as you pass, a narrow hallway, a staircase climbing into shadow, a small courtyard beyond, bright with potted plants. A cat appears from one of the doorways, moving with absolute certainty. It crosses the street ahead of you, tail high, and disappears into a gap between buildings you hadn't noticed. You hear it meowing somewhere in the darkness, then silence. You turn a corner, and the street widens slightly. Shops begin to appear, tucked into the ground floors of buildings. Small spaces, most no larger than a single room, their fronts open to the street or covered by shutters pulled halfway up. You see displays arranged on tables, on shelves, spilling out onto the cobblestones. Brass trays stacked in uneven towers, their surfaces etched with intricate patterns that catch the light. Tea sets polished to a soft glow. Lanterns with colored glass panels, red, blue, amber, hanging from hooks overhead, swaying slightly in the breeze. A man sits in one of the shops working at a low table. He's bent over a piece of metal, tapping it gently with a small hammer. The sound is rhythmic, precise. Tap, 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 pause, tap, tap, tap. He doesn't look up as you pass. His focus is absolute, his hands moving with practiced ease, shaping something you can't quite see. Shavings of metal curl on the table beside him, catching the light like small flames. Another shop displays wood, carved boxes, trays, walking sticks propped against the wall. The wood is dark, polished smooth, inlaid with lighter pieces that form geometric patterns. You notice the detail, the way each line meets perfectly, the way the patterns repeat and shift, creating something that feels both ordered and alive. A faint smell of oil and varnish drifts from the doorway. You continue deeper into the maze of streets. They branch and intersect without pattern, each turn revealing another narrow passage, another row of doors and shuttered windows. You pass a fountain set into a wall, its basin worn smooth by countless hands. Water trickles from a brass spout, pooling briefly before draining through a grate. You pause and cup your hands beneath the flow. The water is cold, shockingly so, and tastes faintly of metal. You let it run over your fingers, feeling the temperature seep into your skin. The streets are waking now, but slowly. A woman emerges from a doorway carrying a woven basket. She's dressed simply, a scarf covering her hair, her movements efficient and unhurried. She nods as she passes, her eyes meeting yours briefly before looking away. Her footsteps fade into the distance. A shopkeeper raises a shutter with a rattle of metal. The sound echoes off the walls, sharp and sudden. He props it open with a wooden pole and begins arranging his wares, rugs draped over a rail, their colors muted in the shadow. He works quietly, smoothing the fabric, adjusting the folds, his face impassive. You smell coffee. The scent reaches you before you see the source, rich, dark, faintly bitter, mixing with something sweeter, maybe cardamom or sugar. You follow it, turning down a side street even narrower than the last. The buildings here are older, their walls patched and repaired, layers of history visible in the mismatched stone and mortar. The cafe appears on your left. It's barely larger than the shops you've passed. A single small room with a doorway open to the street and a few tables arranged outside on the cobblestones. The tables are simple, metal tops worn to a soft patina, surrounded by chairs that don't match. One is painted green, another white, a third bare metal, slightly rusted at the joints. You step closer. Inside, the space is dim, lit by a single bulb hanging from the ceiling. Shelves line the walls, crowded with cups and saucers, small glasses, a radio playing quietly traditional music, strings and percussion, the rhythm slow and hypnotic. A man stands behind a narrow counter, tending to a small stove. He's older, his hair gray, his face lined but calm. He moves with the ease of someone who has performed these same motions countless times. You watch him work. He holds a small copper pot, narrow at the top, wider at the base, its surface darkened by use. A seive. He measures water from a pitcher, pouring it carefully into the pot. Then coffee, spooned from a tin, the grounds fine as dust. Sugar, if desired, added at the beginning, never after. He stirs once, gently with a small spoon, the motion barely disturbing the surface. He places the pot on the stove. The flame is low, barely visible. He doesn't stir again. He simply watches, waiting. You see the liquid begin to change, darkening, the surface starting to shift. Foam forms at the edges first, pale brown, rising slowly. He watches it closely, his hand hovering near the handle. Just before it boils, he lifts the pot from the heat. The foam has spread across the surface now, thick and delicate. He spoons some into a small cup, distributing it carefully, then returns the pot to the flame. The liquid rises again, faster this time. He lifts it once more, pours slowly, the coffee streaming dark and rich into the cup, the foam settling on top like a cap. He sets the cup on a small tray, adds a glass of water, and gestures toward the tables outside. You take it carefully, feeling the warmth of the cup through the tray, and step back into the street. The morning light has found its way here now, a single shaft falling across one of the tables. You sit there in the light and set the tray down. The cup is small, porcelain, white with a thin band of gold around the rim. The coffee inside is almost black, the foam on top pale and fine-textured, dotted with tiny bubbles. You lift the cup and feel its weight, heavier than it looks, the warmth spreading into your palm. You don't drink immediately. You let it sit, watching the steam rise in thin wisps that curl and dissipate. The smell is intense, earth and smoke and something faintly sweet. The foam begins to settle, the bubbles collapsing slowly, one by one. You wait as the ritual demands, letting the ground settle to the bottom, letting the coffee rest. Around you, the street continues to wake. A bicycle passes, its chain clicking rhythmically. The rider doesn't pedal hard, just coasts, one hand on the handlebar, the other holding a bundle wrapped in paper. He disappears around a corner. A door opens above and a woman appears on a balcony, shaking out a small rug. Dust motes catch the light, swirling briefly before settling. She drapes the rug over the railing and disappears back inside, the door closing softly behind her. The shopkeeper across the street arranges his display of brass, plates and bowls and small decorative pieces, each positioned carefully, the surfaces reflecting fragments of the street, the sky, the light. You lift the cup and take your first sip. The coffee is thick, almost viscous, coating your tongue. The flavor is strong, not quite bitter, layered with something darker, richer, roasted grain, charred wood, a faint hint of spice. It's hot but not scalding, and you hold it in your mouth for a moment before swallowing. The warmth travels down, settling in your chest. You sip slowly, letting the ritual unfold at its own pace. Between sips, you drink from the glass of water, cleansing your palate, preparing for the next taste. The coffee grows cooler, the flavors shifting, becoming smoother, less sharp. The grounds remain at the bottom, a dark sludge you're careful not to disturb. The light shifts as you sit. The shaft of sun moves across the table, warming your hands, your arms. You hear voices now growing closer, a conversation in Turkish, the words rising and falling with a rhythm you can't follow but find soothing nonetheless. Two men pass, deep in discussion, their hands gesturing as they talk. They don't notice you. More shops are opening. You hear the rattle of shutters being raised, the scrape of furniture being moved, the murmur of greetings exchanged between shopkeepers. The street is filling with sound, but gently, without urgency. Life is resuming its daily pattern, each person slipping into their role with the ease of long practice. You finish the coffee, the last sip sweet and strong, and set the cup down carefully. The foam has left a ring around the inside, pale against the dark porcelain. The grounds sit at the bottom, thick and still. You glance at them briefly, wondering what patterns they might form if you were to turn the cup, but you leave it as it is. You stand slowly, leaving coins on the tray, and step back into the street. The air feels warmer now, the sun climbing higher, finding its way deeper into the narrow passages. You hear music drifting from somewhere, not the radio from the cafe, but something live, distant. Drums, maybe, or the pulse of voices calling. The sound is faint, just a suggestion, but it pulls at you, drawing you forward. You follow the narrow streets as they twist and turn, each one revealing another layer of the old city, more shops, more doors, more cats lounging in patches of sun. The walls press close, then open slightly, then close again. You lose track of direction. Let yourself be guided by sound and light and the subtle pull of curiosity. The soundscape begins to thicken. Voices grow more numerous, overlapping, rising in volume. You hear the clatter of carts being moved, the shuffle of footsteps multiplying, the call of vendors. Words you don't understand but whose meaning is clear in the tone, the rhythm. The smell of the streets changes too, spices now sharp and warm, mixing with the lingering scent of coffee and bread and something metallic like copper or iron. The narrow street ahead widens slightly, opening toward something larger, something busier. The light grows brighter. The sound swells. You can feel the shift from the quiet intimacy of the backstreets to something more dense, more layered, more alive with commerce and motion. The market is approaching. You take a breath and walk toward it. The entrance rises before you, a wide archway set into stone walls that seem to hold centuries within them. The opening is shadowed, cool, promising something vast beyond. You step through and the world changes. The light shifts first. No longer direct, no longer sun-warmed. Here it's filtered, diffused through small openings in vaulted ceilings high above, through skylights set into domes you can barely see. The light falls in soft columns, illuminating patches of the corridor while leaving others in gentle shadow. It's neither bright nor dim, something in between, a kind of perpetual twilight that makes time feel suspended. The Grand Bazaar spreads around you. Corridors branch in every direction, arched and vaulted, stretching into distances you can't quite measure. The ceilings curve overhead, stone and brick in patterns that repeat endlessly, domes nestled between arches, each section flowing into the next without clear division. The architecture creates a rhythm, a visual pulse you feel more than see. You begin to walk, letting the corridor guide you. The floor beneath your feet is worn smooth, stone that has absorbed countless footsteps, polished to a soft sheen in the center of the passage. Your footsteps echo faintly, absorbed by the vastness of the space, by the soft conversations beginning to fill the air around you. The sounds layer, voices speaking languages you recognize and others you don't, the rustle of fabric, the soft clink of metal on metal. Shops line both sides of the corridor, their fronts open to the passage. Not large spaces, most are narrow, deep rather than wide, receding into shadow. You see displays arranged with care, textiles draped over rails, folded on shelves, hanging from hooks overhead. Silks and cottons and wools, their colors muted in the filtered light but still vivid. Deep reds, rich blues, golds that seem to hold their own illumination. You pause at one shop. Carpets are stacked inside, piled almost to the ceiling. The patterns are intricate geometric designs that pull your eye inward, following lines that curve and intersect and branch into new forms. Some are faded, their colors softened by age and use. Others are brighter, newer, their wool still thick and plush. A man sits inside on a low stool, reading a newspaper, a glass of tea steaming beside him. He glances up as you pause, nods once, then returns to his reading. No pressure, no urgency. You move on. The corridor turns slightly and the light changes again, a beam falling from a skylight above, illuminating a section of shops selling lamps. They hang in clusters, dozens of them, each one a sphere or teardrop of colored glass held together by brass or copper frames. The glass is pieced together like a mosaic, red, blue, amber, green, each fragment catching and refracting the light in different ways. Some of the lamps are lit. The shop owner has turned them on to show their effect, and the light spilling from them transforms the space. Colors pool on the stone floor, overlapping, creating patterns that shift slightly as the lamps sway in the faint breeze moving through the corridor. The effect is hypnotic, jewel tones bleeding into one another, casting everything nearby in warm, saturated hues. You watch for a moment, mesmerized by the movement, the play of light and color. Then you step away, deeper into the bazaar. The corridors multiply, branching and intersecting, creating a maze you don't try to map. You turn left, then right, following instinct rather than direction. Each passage looks similar yet different, the same vaulted ceilings, the same stone floors, but the shops change. Ceramics now, plates and bowls painted with delicate blue patterns, stacked in precarious towers. Leather goods, bags and belts hanging from hooks, the smell of tanned hide mixing with something swata, maybe perfume or unsansa. The voices around you remain soft, muted by the architecture. Shopkeepers murmur to each other, sipping tea, arranging their displays with slow, practiced movements. A few customers browse, but not many. The morning is still early by bazaar standards. The rush hasn't begun. The energy is low, patient, watang. You pass beneath a dome and glance up. The ceiling rises higher here, opening into a circular space where multiple corridors converge. The dome is painted, faded now, the colors washed out by time, but you can still make out patterns, floral designs spiraling around a central point. Small windows ring the base of the dome, letting in slivers of light that move slowly across the walls as the sun shifts outside. Beneath the dome, a small fountain sits in the center, no longer functioning, its basin dry, but its presence remains. Stone carved with the same precision as the ceilings, worn smooth by hands that once cupped water from it. You stand beside it for a moment, letting the space breathe around you. The dome creates an acoustic effect. Sounds seem to gather here, swirling gently before dissipating into the branching corridors. You choose a corridor that looks quieter, less traveled. It narrows slightly, the shops here smaller, their displays less elaborate. Fewer lamps, fewer voices. The light is dimmer, relying more on the electric bulbs strung overhead than on the filtered daylight. The air feels cooler, sheltered deeper within the labyrinth. You pass shops selling spools of thread, every color imaginable arranged in rows that climb the walls. Gold and silver embroidery wound on small cards. Buttons made of wood, of shell, of brass, displayed in shallow boxes. A woman sits in one shop, stitching something delicate, her needle flashing in and out of white fabric, her movements precise and unhurried. Another shop sells nothing but tea sets, tulip-shaped glasses like the one you drank from earlier, arranged in stacks of 6 or 12, each wrapped in tissue. Silver trays engraved with patterns so fine you could lose yourself tracing them. Sugar bowls with tiny spoons resting inside. The shopkeeper dozes in a chair, his head tilted back, mouth slightly open, completely at puss. The corridor opens into a small courtyard, partially covered by a latticed roof that lets in dappled light. A few chairs are arranged here, simple wood and woven cane, placed at odd angles as if left wherever their last occupants had risen from them. No one sits now. The courtyard is empty, an interstitial space between the busier passages. You sit down in one of the chairs. The woven seat creaks softly beneath your weight but holds. You lean back and let your body settle, feeling the tension in your shoulders ease. The air here is still, almost private despite the openness. You hear the bazaar continuing around you, footsteps passing in nearby corridors, the murmur of voices, the distant clatter of something being moved. But it's all muted, softened by distance and walls. You close your eyes and simply listen. The sounds layer in ways you hadn't noticed while walking. Beneath the voices and footsteps, there's a deeper rhythm, the creak of wood, the settling of stone, the faint hum of electric lights. Somewhere, music plays from a radio, traditional strings plucked in a slow, meandering melody that seems to have no beginning or end. It fades in and out, carried on currents of air you can't see. You hear a cat meow nearby. The sound is close, but when you open your eyes, you see nothing. The courtyard remains empty. The meow comes again, then silence. You imagine it's somewhere above, on the latticework perhaps, moving through spaces only it knows how to navigate. The light shifts as you sit. The dappled pattern on the stone floor changes shape, the shadows of the lattice moving incrementally, redefining the space without you noticing the transition. You watch it for a while, letting your mind drift, following no particular thought, just being present in the quiet. Footsteps approach, echoing softly from one of the corridors. An elderly man emerges, walking slowly with the aid of a cane. He doesn't see you at first, focused on his steps, each one deliberate. When he notices you, he pauses, nods once with a small smile, then continues past, disappearing into another corridor. His cane taps a steady rhythm that fades gradually into sullensa. You stand eventually, not because you need to, but because the bazaar is calling again, gently, with the promise of more corridors, more quiet spaces, more layers to discover. You leave the courtyard and enter another passage. This one is lined with shops selling fabrics, bolts of cloth stacked floor to ceiling, some wrapped in plastic, others exposed, their edges frayed slightly from handling. You see brocade heavy with gold thread, plain cottons in muted earth tones, silks that catch the light and shimmer as you pass. The textures are visible even from a distance, rough weaves and smooth finishes, patterns printed and patterns woven, each one distinct. The passage turns again, and the shops shift. Jewelry now, cases filled with silver and gold, chains and bracelets and rings arranged on velvet trays. Some pieces are delicate, filigree so fine it looks like lace. Others are bold, heavy, set with stones you can't identify, deep green, blood red, milky white. The shopkeepers sit behind their displays, watchful but not aggressive, letting you look without commentary. The corridor widens, then narrows, then opens slightly. You've lost all sense of direction, but it doesn't matter. The bazaar holds you, guides you, each turn revealing something new yet familiar. More arches, more vaulted ceilings, more shops selling treasures both practical and beautiful. You notice the air changing. Something new is entering the mixture of smells that have followed you through the corridors. The leather, the incense, the faint mustiness of old fabric. Now there's something sharper, warmer. Spices. You can't identify them individually yet, but they're there, threading through the air, growing stronger with each step. Cumin, perhaps, coriander, something sweet and something bitter, mixing together in ways that make your mouth water and your senses sharpen. The scent is coming from ahead, from corridors you haven't yet entered, pulling you forward with invisible threads. The light seems warmer here too, or maybe it's your imagination, influenced by the promise of color and fragrance waiting just beyond the next turn. The shops begin to thin slightly, the displays less dense, as if the bazaar is preparing you for a transition, for a shift from one sensory world to another. You walk slowly toward the smell, letting it guide you. The spices are waiting, the next layer of the labyrinth, and you move toward it without hurry, without resistance, simply following where the bazaar leads. The corridor opens, and suddenly you're standing in light again. The spice bazaar reveals itself not all at once, but in layers. First, the brightness, shafts of daylight falling through high windows, illuminating the air itself, which seems to shimmer with suspended particles. Then the colors, warm, earthy, vibrant, and finally the scent. It doesn't overwhelm, it drifts. The aromas move through the space like invisible currents, mixing and separating, arriving in waves you can't predict. One moment you smell cinnamon, sweet, warm, woody. Then it fades and something else emerges, cumin, earthy, and slightly bitter. Then mint, sharp and clean, cutting through the heavier scents. They don't compete. They layer, creating something complex and constantly shifting. You walk slowly into the main corridor. The ceiling arches overhead, vaulted in the same style as the Grand Bazaar but somehow different. The light here is warmer, the stone older perhaps, or simply stained by centuries of smoke and spice and time. The vaults are painted, faded now, but you can still make out patterns, floral designs, geometric borders, colors that were once bright but have settled into muted golds and ochres and faded blues. Shops line both sides, their fronts open wide to the passage. The displays spill outward, sacks of spices arranged at the entrance, their contents visible, inviting touch. You see pyramids of powdered spices, their surfaces smooth and precise, shaped with care. Deep red paprika, golden turmeric, dark brown cumin. Each pyramid is labeled with handwritten signs you can't read, but the colors themselves are language enough. Behind the pyramids, shelves climb toward the ceiling, crowded with jars and bags and boxes. Glass jars filled with whole spices, star anise, cardamom pods, peppercorns in various colors. Burlap sacks tied at the top, bulging with contents you can only guess at. Metal tins stacked in towers, their labels worn but still legible. A shopkeeper stands among his wares, scooping something from a large burlap sack into a smaller paper bag for a customer. His movements are practiced, efficient. He uses a metal scoop, filling the bag, then weighing it on an old scale, brass and worn smooth, the needle swinging until it finds balance. He adds a little more, checks again, nods, and folds the top of the bag closed with quick fingers. You continue walking, letting your eyes drift from display to display. Dried fruits appear, figs and apricots and dates, arranged in shallow wooden trays. The figs are split open, their interiors pale pink and seeded. The apricots are sunset orange, their surfaces wrinkled but still plump. Some are dusted with a fine white powder, sugar, maybe, or simply the evidence of time. You smell their sweetness cutting through the spice-heavy air, a different kind of warmth. Nuts are everywhere, almonds and pistachios and hazelnuts, some still in their shells, others shelled and roasted, glistening faintly with oil. They're piled high in metal bins, scoops resting in them, ready. A few stray nuts have escaped, scattered on the stone floor, crunching softly under the feet of passers-by. And then you see the lokum. Turkish delight, arranged in long trays that stretch the length of several shops. The colors are soft, pastel, pale pink and mint green and dusty yellow and cream. Some pieces are dusted heavily with powdered sugar, others left bare, their surfaces slightly tacky, catching the light. They're cut into neat squares, stacked or arranged in rows, each one perfect and identical. You pause at one display. The shopkeeper notices and gestures welcomingly, picking up a small wooden skewer. He spears a piece of lokum, rose-colored, translucent, and offers it to you without words. You take it carefully, feeling the slight stickiness on your fingers, and bring it to your mouth. The texture is unlike anything else, soft but with resistance, giving way slowly as you bite. It's sweet, intensely so, but tempered by something floral. Rose water, you realize. The flavor blooms across your tongue, delicate and perfumed, lingering even after you've swallowed. The powdered sugar dusts your lips, and you taste it too, pure sweetness that melts instantly. The shopkeeper smiles and gestures to the other varieties. Pistachio-filled squares, bright green nuts visible through the translucent gel. Lemon-flavored pieces, pale yellow and sharp-smelling. Pomegranate, deep pink, the seeds suspended inside like tiny jewels. You nod your thanks but don't buy. He doesn't seem to mind. The gesture was enough. You move deeper into the market. The corridor curves slightly, following the shape of the building. More shops appear, selling teas now, displayed in clear jars or metal tins painted with elaborate designs. Apple tea, bright red when dry. Sage, gray-green and fragrant. Pomegranate, dark and rich. The shopkeeper of one stall is brewing something, a small electric kettle steaming behind him, and the smell of brewing tea, fruity and slightly tart, adds another layer to the air. Lanterns hang from the ceiling here too, though fewer than in the Grand Bazaar. These are simpler. They're glass panels in solid colors rather than mosaics. Red, blue, amber. They sway slightly in the breeze that moves through the corridor, their chains creaking softly, the sound barely audible over the murmur of voices. The voices are quiet, conversational. Shopkeepers greeting customers, offering tastes, suggesting purchases with gentle persistence but no pressure. Customers browsing, asking questions in languages you recognize and others you don't. The market has a rhythm, slower than you'd expected, more relaxed. It's not the frenzy you might have imagined. It's simply commerce, performed with the ease of centuries of practice. You pass a display of Turkish coffee, bags and tins stacked high, the smell rich and dark, cutting through even the strongest spices. A grinder sits on the counter, old and manual, its crank handle worn smooth. The shopkeeper demonstrates for a customer, pouring beans into the top, turning the handle slowly. The grinding sound is rhythmic, soothing, and the smell intensifies as fresh grounds fall into the drawer below. The light shifts as you walk, moving from bright to dim and back again as you pass beneath windows and skylights. The stone floor is worn here, polished smooth by footsteps, and you notice the grooves where centuries of traffic have passed, where carts once rolled, where merchants have stood in the same spots generation after generation. You emerge from the main corridor into a smaller side passage, quieter, less crowded. Here the shops sell different things, soaps hanging from strings, their colors bright and artificial looking. Towels stacked in rainbows of terry cloth. Ceramics painted in blue and white, dishes and bowls and decorative tiles. The energy is lower here, the pace even gentler. At the edge of this passage, you see a small tea stand, not quite a shop, just a window with a counter and a few stools arranged outside. An old man presides over it, tending a large samovar that hisses and steams continuously. He fills tulip-shaped glasses with practiced ease, not measuring, simply pouring until the glass is 3/4 full, leaving room for sugar. You approach and take a seat on one of the stools. The glass arrives moments later, set before you on a small saucer with 2 wrapped sugar cubes beside it. The tea is dark amber, almost red, steam rising from its surface. You wrap your hands around the glass, feeling its heat seep into your palms. The metal samovar continues to hiss softly behind the counter, a constant presence, its warmth radiating into the small space. You unwrap a sugar cube and drop it into the tea, watching it sink and begin to dissolve, leaving a trail of sweetness behind it. You stir slowly with a small spoon, the metal clinking softly against the glass. The sound is comforting, familiar, part of a ritual performed countless times in countless places throughout the city. You sip carefully. The tea is strong, astringent, but the sugar softens it, rounds the edges. It's hot, almost too hot, but you let it sit in your mouth for a moment before swallowing, feeling it warm your throat, your chest. The taste is clean, simple, a counterpoint to the complexity of the spice market's aromas still clinging to your clothes, your skin. Around you, life continues at its gentle pace. A woman walks past carrying a shopping bag filled with paper-wrapped parcels. A young man leans against the wall nearby, smoking, staring at nothing in particular. The old man behind the counter pours another tea for a customer who's just arrived, the movement's automatic, requiring no thought. You drink slowly, letting the tea cool between sips. The stool is slightly uncomfortable, the metal seat hard beneath you, but you don't mind. This isn't a place for lingering in luxury. It's a pause, a breath. A momentary rest before continuing onward. When the glass is empty, you leave coins on the counter and stand. The old man nods, already reaching for the glass to rinse and refill for the next customer. You step away from the tea stand and make your way toward the far end of the market. The corridor opens onto a wider space, an exit, you realize, leading back out into daylight. The air changes as you approach, the spice-heavy atmosphere thinning, mixing with something fresher, cooler. Salt. You step through the archway, and the world opens again. The golden horn spreads before you, wide and blue under the morning sun. The water moves gently, reflecting the sky in fragments, boats cutting across it with slow determination. Across the expanse, you see buildings rising in tiers, the far shore of the inlet, the bridge connecting both sides. A long span crowded with pedestrians and cars, the movement constant but somehow still peaceful from this distance. The breeze off the water reaches you, cooler than the air in the market, carrying the scent of the sea, of fish, of the life that exists at the meeting of water and city. You breathe it in deeply, letting it clear the spices from your lungs, the sweetness of locum from your mouth. Gulls circle overhead, calling to each other, their white bodies bright against the blue. Below, along the waterfront, you see fishermen casting lines from the embankment, their silhouettes patient and still. Life along the Golden Horn continues its ancient rhythm, unchanged by the passing of hours or centuries. You begin walking toward the water, toward the bridge, drawn by the promise of crossing, of moving from one side to the other, of following the city wherever it leads next. You walk toward the bridge. The path leads you along the waterfront first, past fishermen standing with their lines in the water, past vendors selling simit from small carts, the circular bread stacked high and golden. The smell of sesame drifts past. The Golden Horn stretches wide beside you, its surface catching the light, fragmenting it into thousands of small reflections that shift and dance with each passing breeze. The bridge rises ahead, a modern structure, sleek and functional, carrying both metro trains and pedestrians across the water. You approach the pedestrian walkway, a dedicated path separated from the traffic, and step onto it. The surface is smooth beneath your feet, the railing cool under your hand. As you walk, the city spreads around you. Below, the water moves gently, boats crossing back and forth, ferries carrying passengers, small fishing vessels, the occasional larger ship making its way through. You watch their wakes spread and dissolve, watch the way they catch the light differently than the still water. The sound of the metro passes overhead periodically, a rumble and rush that fades quickly, absorbed by the openness of the sky and water. To your left, the old city recedes, Sultanahmet's domes and minarets visible in the distance, pale against the sky. To your right, across the water, buildings rise in clusters, painted facades visible even from here, colors breaking through the neutral tones of stone and concrete. That's where you're heading. Balat, Fenner. The crossing takes time, but it doesn't feel long. The air is fresh here, carrying none of the spice market intensity, just the clean smell of water and the faint diesel of passing boats. Gulls glide beside the bridge, riding currents, occasionally swooping low to investigate something below. Their calls echo across the water, sharp and insistent. You reach the far side and descend into the streets. The change is immediate. The grandness of the historical peninsula falls away, replaced by something more intimate, more lived in. The streets here are narrower, the buildings closer together, the rhythm slower. This is residential Istanbul, the city where people live their daily lives away from the tourist routes and monumental architecture. You begin to walk uphill. The streets climb steeply from the waterfront, cobblestones giving way to uneven pavement, then back to cobblestones again. The incline forces you to slow down, to take your time, and somehow this feels intentional, as if the neighborhood itself is setting the pace. And then you see the first house. Painted bright yellow, its facade glowing in the morning sun. The paint is fresh in some places, peeling in others, revealing older colors beneath blue, perhaps, or green. The windows are framed in white, the shutters slightly crooked, one hanging at an angle. A flower pot sits on the windowsill, geraniums spilling over the edge, their red blooms vivid against the yellow wall. You turn a corner, and there are more. Pink, sky blue, mint green, coral. Each house painted a different color, the facades creating a patchwork that climbs the hillside. Some buildings are narrow, just a single window wide. Others spread across multiple addresses, their colors changing at property lines, creating stripes of hue that seem almost deliberate in their randomness. The colors aren't uniform. They're weathered, faded in places where the sun hits most directly, darker in corners sheltered from light. The paint cracks and peels, revealing layers beneath, generations of color choices, each one a small decision that now forms part of the neighborhood's character. It's beautiful not despite the wear, but because of it. You walk slowly, letting your eyes move from house to house. Laundry hangs between buildings, strung on lines that crisscross the narrow streets. sheets and towels and clothing, swaying gently in the breeze, creating moving shadows on the colored walls below. The laundry adds another layer of color, white sheets brilliant against a blue facade, a red shirt hanging in front of green shutters. It's ordinary and somehow perfect. Cats are everywhere. On doorsteps, sunning themselves. In windows, watching from behind glass. Crossing the street with absolute confidence, tails high. You see a tabby lying stretched across a pink doorstep, its body completely relaxed, eyes half closed. A black cat sits on a windowsill, grooming itself methodically. Two kittens chase each other down an alley, their small bodies tumbling over each other in play. The streets branch and wind, following the contours of the hill rather than any grid. You turn left, then right, climbing higher, then descending slightly. There's no clear destination. You're simply wandering, letting the neighborhood reveal itself at its own pace. A woman sweeps her doorstep, her movements slow and rhythmic. She glances up as you pass, nods, returns to her sweeping. The sound of the broom on stone is soft, meditative. Somewhere nearby, you hear the murmur of a television through an open window, voices speaking Turkish, the words indistinct but the tone familiar. A morning talk show, perhaps, or the news. You pass a small grocery, barely more than a single room, its shelves visible through the open door. Produce sits in crates outside, tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, their skins glossy. A scale hangs from the ceiling just inside the doorway, its pan swaying slightly. The shopkeeper sits on a stool, reading a newspaper, his face hidden behind the pages. Children's voices echo from somewhere, playing, shouting, laughing. You follow the sound and find a small courtyard tucked between buildings. 3 children kick a partially deflated soccer ball back and forth, their movements uncoordinated but enthusiastic. An older woman watches from a chair near a doorway, calling something to them occasionally. They ignore her, absorbed in their game. The light shifts as you walk, filtered differently by each building. In places where the streets narrow, the walls create canyons of shadow, cool and dim. Then the street opens slightly and sun pours in, warming everything, bringing out the intensity of the colors. The pinks pinker, the blues deeper, the yellows almost glowing. You notice details you missed at first. The way each door is different. Some painted, some bare wood, some with elaborate knockers, others with simple handles. The tiles set into some facades, blue and white geometric patterns, traditional and precise. The balconies, small and ornate, their railings wrought iron worked into delicate patterns. Plants growing in unexpected places, flowers in old paint cans, herbs in clay pots, vines climbing cracked walls. A man sits outside a cafe, so small you almost missed it. 3 tables, a few chairs, a doorway leading to a dark interior. He sips tea from a tulip glass, staring at nothing in particular. The cafe has no sign, just exists, known to those who need to know. You catch the smell of coffee brewing inside, mixing with cigarette smoke drifting from somewhere nearby. You continue climbing. The streets grow steeper, the cobblestones more uneven. Some houses here are in better repair than others. One has been recently painted, its coral facade bright and clean, the trim crisp white. Next to it, another leans slightly, its blue paint faded almost to gray, shutters missing slats, the whole structure looking tired but somehow still dignified. A cat follows you for a block, trotting alongside with purpose before suddenly losing interest and sitting down to lick a paw. You pause, and it looks up at you with complete indifference before continuing its grooming. The neighborhood has a rhythm you're beginning to understand. It's not rushed. Nothing demands your attention urgently. The colors are vibrant but not aggressive. The life here unfolds quietly, doors opening and closing, voices calling, footsteps echoing, the ordinary business of living conducted without performance. You turn down a narrow alley, barely wide enough for one person. The walls are close enough to touch on both sides, painted yellow on one side, pink on the other. Laundry hangs overhead, creating a canopy that filters the light into soft, diffused patches. At the end, the alley opens onto a small square, not grand, just a widening of space where several streets meet. A fountain sits at the center, old and functional. Water trickles from a brass spout into a stone basin. A woman fills a plastic bottle, caps it, and walks away. The water continues to flow, its sound constant and soothing, echoing slightly off the surrounding walls. You sit on the edge of the fountain, feeling the cool stone beneath you. From here, you can see down 3 different streets, each one climbing or descending, each lined with the colorful houses that define this place. A bicycle leans against a green wall. A pair of shoes sits outside a door, waiting. A bird lands on a rooftop, hops twice, flies away. The rhythm continues around you. Someone hangs laundry on a line above. You hear the clothespins clicking, the fabric snapping once as it's shaken out. A scooter passes, its engine loud for a moment, then fatting. Children's voices rise again, different children, a different game, the same essential joy. You stand eventually and continue your wandering. Down this time, following a street that curves gently, revealing new angles on houses you've already passed. The colors look different from this direction, the light hitting them from another angle, shadows falling in new places. It's the same neighborhood, but every perspective changes it slightly. You pass a house with a door painted blue, decorated with a small ceramic evil eye nailed above the frame. Another has a bird cage hanging beside the entrance, empty now, its door open, waiting. Tiny mosaic tiles frame a window, green and blue and white, cracked in places but still beautiful. An old man sits on a chair outside his door, his cane propped beside him. He watches you pass, nods slowly. His face is weathered, his eyes sharp and clear. You nod back and he returns his gaze to the street, content to sit and observe. The streets lead you in slow spirals, up and down, winding through the neighborhood without clear logic. You stop trying to track your path and simply follow wherever feels right. Each turn reveals something, a particularly vivid house, a cat sleeping in an impossible position, a woman watering plants on a balcony, the laundry hanging everywhere, creating a domestic tapestry against the colored walls. The light begins to shift. Not dramatically, but you notice it, the sun climbing higher, the shadows shortening, the warmth intensifying. Morning is transitioning toward afternoon, the quality of light changing from soft and golden to something brighter, more direct. The colors of the houses respond, becoming more saturated, almost glowing in the strengthening sun. You find yourself on a wider street now, still residential but with occasional shops, a barber, a tailor, a small market. The rhythm is still slow, but there's slightly more activity. People walking with purpose, running errands, living their day. The neighborhood has held you for hours without you realizing it. There's been no rush, no urgency, just the slow unfolding of color and life, and the patient observation of a place that exists primarily for those who live here, not for those who pass through. You pause at a corner where two streets meet, looking back the way you came. The hillside climbs behind you, houses stacked in colorful tiers, laundry swaying, cats sitting, life continuing its quiet rhythm. Ahead, the streets descend toward something you can't quite see yet, but the light is pulling you forward, the afternoon unfolding. You begin to walk again, letting Balat fade gently behind you, carrying its colors and cats and quiet rhythms with you as the day shifts toward its middle hours. You make your way back toward the water, following the slope of the land as it descends toward the Golden Horn. The streets widen gradually, the residential intensity of Balat softening into something more transitional, shops appearing again, cafes, the rhythm quickening slightly as you approach the ferry terminals. The dock spreads before you, a wide concrete platform jutting into the water. Ferries sit moored at intervals, large and functional, painted white with blue trim, their hulls showing years of service. People move across the platform, some hurrying, checking watches, others walking with the ease of daily routine. This is how Istanbul commutes, has commuted for generations, carried by water rather than confined by roads. You approach the terminal building, buy a token from a window where the attendant barely looks up, and join the slow drift of people moving toward the gates. The gates stand open, leading to wooden walkways that connect to the ferry. You follow the flow, your footsteps hollow on the planks. The ferry rocks gently as you board. You feel the movement immediately, the slight give beneath your feet, the way the handrail shifts almost imperceptibly. The deck is worn smooth, painted in thick layers that have chipped and peeled in places, revealing older colors beneath. Benches line the sides, most already occupied. You make your way toward the railing on the right side, finding a spot where you can stand and watch. More passengers board behind you. There's no rushing, no urgency. Some carry shopping bags, others briefcases, a few have nothing but themselves. A woman settles on a bench with a tired sigh, her eyes closing immediately. A young man leans against the opposite railing, headphones in, staring at his phone. An elderly couple sits together, his hand on her knee, both watching the water in comfortable silence. The horn sounds, 3 low blasts that echo across the water and off the buildings along the shore. You feel the vibration in your chest. The engine deepens its hum, changing from idle to purpose. The ferry shudders slightly, then begins to pull away from the dock. The gap between ferry and land widens slowly. You watch the dock recede, the wooden pilings growing smaller, the people still waiting becoming silhouettes. The water churns white at the stern, the propellers driving the ferry forward into the strait. The movement is smooth, practiced, the captain invisible but utterly certain in his navigation. The European side begins to pull back. Buildings that seemed close now reveal their distance. The shore spreads into a panorama, mosques and minarets rising against the sky, hills climbing behind them, neighborhoods stacked in layers. You can see Sultanahmet's domes, smaller now but still distinct. The Galata Tower appears, its cylindrical form unmistakable even at this distance. Everything you've walked through this morning is now visible all at once, compressed into a single view. The ferry moves steadily across the Bosphorus. The water is calm today, the surface broken only by the wakes of other vessels. You see ferries crossing in both directions, maintaining their routes with the precision of decades. A large cargo ship passes in the distance, heading north toward the Black Sea, its deck stacked with containers. Fishing boats dot the water, small and patient, their occupants barely visible. The wind picks up as you reach the middle of the strait. It's stronger here, unobstructed by buildings, carrying the full weight of the open water. It pulls at your hair, your clothes, cool and insistent. You breathe it in pure and clean, carrying none of the city's accumulated scents, just water and air and space. Gulls follow the ferry, gliding alongside without effort. They ride the air currents created by the vessel's movement, barely flapping their wings, perfectly balanced. One dips suddenly, diving toward the water, emerging moments later with something small in its beak. It rises again, rejoining the others, their formation constantly shifting but never breaking. You glance back at the European side. It's distant now, still visible but no longer immediate. The city has become a silhouette, a collection of shapes and shadows backlit by the climbing sun. You're suspended between two continents, held by water, moving through the space that defines and divides and connects them. Ahead, the Asian side begins to clarify. At first, just a line of buildings, indistinct and generic, then gradually revealing detail, the waterfront promenade, trees lining the shore, the distinctive profile of neighborhoods rising behind. Category. The ferry adjusts its course slightly, aiming for the dock that's beginning to emerge from the general mass of the shoreline. The engine changes pitch, slowing. The ferry glides now more than pushes, its momentum carrying it toward the dock with practiced precision. You see workers on the dock preparing for the arrival, thick ropes coiled and ready, tire fenders hanging against the pilings. The gap narrows steadily. The ferry bumps gently against the dock. The sound is soft wood against rubber absorbed by the fenders. Ropes are thrown and caught, looped around bollards pulled taut. The engine cuts to idle. The boarding ramp clangs into place. People begin to move. You follow the flow off the ferry, feet finding solid ground again after the gentle rocking of the crossing. The Asian side receives you without ceremony, without announcement. It's simply here, another part of the city, separated by water but connected by the ferries that make this crossing countless times each day. You walk away from the terminal, into category. The change is subtle but present. The rhythm here is different, not slower exactly, but more relaxed, less weighted by history and monuments. This side of Istanbul lives more than it presents. The streets are lined with cafes and small shops, but they feel less curated, more organic, existing for residents rather than visitors. You turn down a street that runs parallel to the water. Trees provide shade, their branches creating a canopy overhead. The sidewalk is wide, well-maintained, populated by people walking dogs, pushing strollers, carrying groceries. Life conducting itself without performance. The architecture is different here too, more modern or at least less ancient. Buildings from the 20th century rather than the 16th, concrete and plaster rather than stone. Some are painted, pastels mostly, soft yellows and pinks and blues, but the colors are more subdued than Balat's exuberance. Everything feels slightly quieter, slightly more contained. You pass a market, not a historic bazaar but a neighborhood market, vendors selling produce and cheese and bread from simple stalls. Tomatoes are piled in crates, their surfaces still dusty from the field. A man slices cheese from a large wheel, offering samples to a customer who nods and holds up 3 fingers. The transaction is quick, familiar, repeated countless times. Cafes line the street, their fronts open to the sidewalk. Small tables sit outside, occupied by people reading, working on laptops, talking in pairs or small groups. The atmosphere is studious, creative. You see tattoos, unconventional haircuts, vintage clothing mixed with modern pieces. This is where Istanbul's artists and students gather, where the city's bohemian spirit makes its home. You continue walking, drawn back toward the water. The street opens onto a promenade, a wide pedestrian path that runs along the shore. The Bosphorus stretches beside it, the same water you just crossed, now viewed from the other side. The European side spreads across the strait, closer than you'd think, close enough to see detail, the towers and domes and bridges all visible, the city presenting itself in profile. You find a bench facing the water and sit. The wood is warm beneath you, heated by hours of sun. You settle back, letting your body relax, watching the scene unfold. Ferries continue their crossings, back and forth, maintaining their endless rhythm. A large passenger ferry passes close to shore, heading north. You see people on its deck, some standing at the railing as you did, others seated, all of them suspended between the 2 sides of the city. Small fishing boats rock gently near the shore, anchored but mobile, moving with the swells created by passing vessels. Their hulls are painted in fatting colors, blue, green, red, their names written in script you can't read. They sit empty now, their owners elsewhere, but they maintain their presence, part of the waterfront's character. People walk past along the promenade. A woman jogs slowly, headphones in, her pace steady and meditative. 2 elderly men stroll together, deep in conversation, their hands clasped behind their backs. A family passes, parents, 2 children, the younger one clutching a half-eaten ice cream cone, sticky in content. Gulls circle overhead and perch on the railings, entirely comfortable with human proximity. One lands near your bench, hops twice, looks at you with one bright eye, then hops away, apparently finding you uninteresting. Another pair fights briefly over something, food, perhaps, their wings beating, voices harsh, before separating and settling into an uneasy truce. The light is changing again. The sun has climbed to its highest point and is beginning its descent, not setting yet but shifting toward afternoon's end. The light grows warmer, less white and more golden, touching everything with increasing softness. The water reflects this change, its blue deepening, becoming richer, more saturated. You watch shadows lengthen across the promenade. The trees cast longer patterns, the benches create darker pools of shade. The European side across the water begins to glow faintly, buildings catching the angled light, their facades warming from pale stone to honey to amber. The air cools slightly, the breeze off the water carrying a different temperature. Not cold, just less intense, the day releasing some of its accumulated heat. You feel it on your face, your arms, a gentle reminder of time passing, of evening approaching. A cat emerges from somewhere beneath the promenade, stretching languidly before settling on a patch of warm stone. It curls into itself, tail wrapped around its body, and closes its eyes. Within moments, it's asleep, completely trusting in the safety of this place. You remain on the bench, not ready to move yet. The rhythm of the waterfront continues. Ferries crossing, gulls calling, people walking, the water moving with its eternal patience. The city surrounds you, vast and layered, ancient and modern, European and Asian, all of it held together by this strait, by the water that divides and connects, by the ferries that refuse to let geography determine destiny. The sky begins to warm. Not dramatically, not yet, but you can sense it coming. The shift from afternoon to evening, from blue to gold to rose. The day is preparing for its end, slowly, giving you time to notice, time to breathe, time to simply be present as Istanbul transforms once more. The light begins its transformation. You watch it happen gradually, sitting on your bench as the sun descends toward the horizon. The sky releases its blue incrementally, slowly, allowing warmth to seep in from the edges. First at the western horizon, a pale gold, almost white, where the sun sits heavy and bright. Then spreading outward, the gold deepening to amber, to copper, bleeding into the blue above in gradations so subtle you can't identify where one color ends and another begins. The Bosphorus receives this light and transforms it. The water's surface, which has been blue all day, shifts to match the sky. Patches of gold appear where the sun's reflection touches directly, rippling and fragmenting with each small wave. The rest of the water darkens, becoming deeper blue, almost purple in places, creating contrast that makes the golden patches even more luminous. You remain still, watching. Ferries continue their crossings, but they look different now, silhouetted against the brightness. Their white hulls appear gray, almost black, their windows catching and reflecting the sunset in small rectangular flames. They move through the colored water, their wakes spreading behind them in patterns that catch the light, hold it briefly, then release it as the water settles. The European side across the strait begins to change. Buildings that were distinct and detailed throughout the day start to lose their specificity. Details fade, colors mute, and gradually everything reduces to silhouette. But not a flat silhouette, layered, dimensional, with depth created by the stacking of structures, the rising of hills, the positioning of towers and domes and minarets against the illuminated sky. The minarets become most visible now. They rise as dark lines against the warming sky, slender, vertical, impossibly tall. You can see dozens from where you sit, scattered across the skyline, each one claiming its space in the air. Some stand alone. Others cluster in pairs or groups around their mosques, creating constellations of vertical lines that punctuate the horizontal sprawl of the city. The sky deepens. The pale gold at the horizon intensifies, becoming richer, more saturated. Orange enters the palette, then hints of pink, soft and spreading. The blue overhead darkens from day blue to something closer to evening blue, holding on to its color but preparing for the inevitable transition to night. You hear the first call. It comes from somewhere distant, carried across the water. A single voice, amplified, rising into the air with a pattern you feel more than understand. The sound is melodic, plaintive, sustained notes that rise and fall with practiced precision. It floats over the city, over the water, reaching you as something soft, almost abstract, pure sound divorced from meaning, texture rather than message. Then another voice joins. From a different direction, a different minaret, slightly out of sync with the first. The two voices layer, overlapping, creating harmonies that weren't intended but emerge naturally from the slight delays, the different distances, the acoustic properties of air and water and stone. More voices rise. They come from all directions now, across the Bosphorus from the European side, behind you from deeper in Katakuri, north and south along the strait. Each minaret broadcasts its call, each voice slightly different in timbre and timing, and together they create something vast and complex. The sounds weave through each other, meeting and parting, echoing off buildings, carried by wind, absorbed by water. You close your eyes and simply listen. The calls don't overwhelm. They fill the air the way the sunset fills the sky, completely but gently, creating an atmosphere rather than demanding attention. The voices undulate, rising and falling in waves, their rhythms both synchronized and independent. They sound ancient and immediate, familiar even if you've never heard them before, as if the city itself is breathing out sound. The melody is repetitive but not monotonous. Each phrase follows a pattern, building and releasing, climbing and descending. The voices sustain notes impossibly long, the sound hanging in the air, vibrating, then fading as new notes rise to replace them. It's neither urgent nor passive. It simply is part of the evening, part of the architecture of time in this place. You open your eyes. The sky has deepened further. The orange has intensified at the horizon, and above it the pink has spread, softening everything. The clouds, which you hadn't noticed before, now reveal themselves, backlit and glowing, their edges bright against darker centers. The blue overhead has shifted toward purple, the first stars beginning to appear, faint but present. The minarets stand dark against this colored sky, their forms sharp and certain. The speakers mounted at their tops, invisible during the day, now seem to glow faintly, small lights illuminating them as the calls continue to pour out and spread across the city. The sound and the light and the silhouettes combine, creating a moment that feels suspended, held between day and night. The calls begin to fade. Not all at once, but gradually, each voice completing its pattern and falling silent. The layering reverses, many voices becoming fewer, fewer becoming one or two, then silence returning, not empty but full, the air somehow denser for having held so much sound. The water reflects the sky now with increasing clarity. The surface has calmed as the wind drops with the approaching night. You see the colors mirrored, orange and pink and purple, rippling gently, distorted slightly by the movement of the water but still recognizable, still beautiful. The reflection makes it seem as though the sunset exists both above and below, the city suspended between two skies. Lights begin to appear across the strait. Small at first, windows illuminating one by one as apartments wake to evening, as businesses turn on their signs, as streetlights flicker to life along the waterfront. The lights are warm, yellow and amber, distinct against the cooling colors of the sky. They don't compete with the sunset. They accent it, creating a new layer of illumination as natural light fades. The bridges become visible again, but transformed. Their lights, which were invisible during the day, unnecessary against the sun, now glow softly, tracing their spans across the water. The cables light up, thin lines of gold stretching from tower to tower, and the effect is delicate, almost fragile, these enormous structures rendered beautiful by darkness and artificial light. You watch the transition continue. The sun touches the horizon now, no longer a perfect circle but beginning to flatten as it meets the edge of the world. The light it casts is deep orange, almost red, and everything it touches, the water, the clouds, the distant shore, takes on this color, glowing as if lit from within. The city is breathing. You feel it in the rhythm of the lights appearing, in the settling of the air, in the way sound changes as day transitions to evening. Voices on the promenade grow quieter, as if responding to the dimming light. Footsteps seem softer. Even the gulls calm, their calls less frequent, their flights shorter as they find places to settle for the night. The ferries continue crossing, but there are fewer now. Their lights are more visible than their hulls, rows of illuminated windows moving across the darkening water, yellow rectangles reflecting in elongated strips. They look like floating buildings, carried by invisible forces from one side to the other. The sun slips lower. Half of it is below the horizon now, the remaining arc brilliant and impossible to look at directly. The sky around it intensifies, the orange becoming fierce, the pink above it spreading wider, reaching toward the darkening blue overhead. The colors layer in bands, creating a gradient that spans the entire western sky. Then the sun is gone. Not suddenly, but its disappearance is still noticeable. The moment when the last bright arc slips away and only the glow remains. The sky holds its colors, but they begin to soften, to fade, the orange retreating, the pink dispersing, the purple overhead deepening toward true blue-black. Twilight arrives. The world doesn't go dark, but it releases its definition. The silhouetted skyline across the water remains visible but less distinct, edges softening, details disappearing into general shapes. The lights grow more important, more prominent, creating their own architecture of illumination against the darkening sky. The water darkens to match, no longer blue, no longer reflecting sky colors, becoming something closer to black but not quite, a deep blue-gray that holds light without reflecting it clearly. The surface is almost invisible now, known more by the lights that float on it, ferry windows, boat lanterns, the reflected glow from the shores. Stars multiply overhead. What was one becomes 3, becomes 10, becomes too many to count as your eyes adjust to the decreasing light. They're faint still, competing with the city's glow, but present, claiming their space in the darkening dome above. You feel the temperature drop noticeably now. The warmth that accumulated throughout the day releases into the evening air, rising and dissipating. The breeze off the water carries coolness, not uncomfortable but definite, and you notice others on the promenade beginning to wrap scarves tighter, to zip jackets, to quicken their pace slightly. The minarets are barely visible now, dark towers against a dark sky, distinguished only by the small lights at their tops and the occasional illumination of the mosques below them. The calls have been silent for some time, but their presence lingers in memory, in the way they shape the transition from afternoon to evening, in the texture they added to the air. Night settles gently, not falling suddenly but arriving gradually, degree by degree, as the last light fades from the western horizon and the sky achieves its full darkness. The city doesn't resist. It accepts the night, transforms under it, becoming a place of lights and shadows rather than stone and water. You stand slowly from the bench, feeling the stiffness in your legs from sitting so long. The waterfront continues its quiet evening rhythm around you, people walking, ferries crossing, lights glowing steadily. Istanbul breathes in darkness as it breathed in light, the rhythm unchanged, only the illumination different. The Bosphorus stretches dark and wide beside you, its surface barely visible, its presence felt more than seen. Across it, the European side glows softly, a constellation of lights that mirrors the stars beginning to fill the sky above. You turn away from the water and begin to walk into the evening, carrying the sunset with you, carrying the calls that filled the air, carrying the quiet patience of a city that has watched countless days end and knows countless more will follow. You walk into the night streets of Katakuri. The darkness has settled completely now, but the city doesn't sleep. It simply transforms, revealing a different version of itself, softer, more intimate, lit by lamps that cast pools of amber light on the pavement below. The streetlights glow warm, their light the color of honey, touching everything with a gentleness that feels almost deliberate. The streets are quieter than during the day, but not empty. People still move through them, walking home from dinner, stepping out for evening air, meeting friends at cafes that remain open, their windows bright and welcoming. The pace is slower, more measured, the urgency of daylight replaced by something more contemplative. You follow a narrow street that winds away from the waterfront. The buildings lean close on either side, their facades painted colors you can't quite identify in this light, everything reduced to shades of amber and shadow. Windows glow from within, curtains drawn or left open, revealing fragments of domestic life. A woman washing dishes, A man reading at a table. A child's silhouette passing across a lit rectangle. Shop windows still display their wares, though most are closed now. The glass reflects the streetlight, creating double images, the objects inside and the street outside existing in the same plane, layered and ghostly. You see textiles draped over mannequins, their colors muted. Shelves of books, their spines barely legible. A display of ceramics, blue and white patterns catching what light finds them. A cafe sits at the corner, its door open despite the cooling air. Warm light spills onto the cobblestones outside, and you hear the low murmur of conversation, the clink of cups on saucers, the hiss of an espresso machine. The smell of coffee drifts out, mixing with cigarette smoke and something sweet, baklava perhaps, or fresh bread. You pause near the doorway, not entering, just absorbing the warmth. Inside, a few people sit at small tables. 2 men play backgammon, the dice clicking on wood, their moves slow and considered. A couple shares a single dessert, their spoons meeting in the middle of the plate. A woman sits alone with a book, her tea forgotten, growing cold as she reads. No one is hurried. No one checks the time. They're simply here, occupying space, existing in the gentle cocoon of evening. You move on. The street climbs slightly, the cobblestones uneven beneath your feet. You hear your footsteps echo softly, absorbed quickly by the surrounding buildings. Other footsteps approach from somewhere. You can't see their source yet, just hear them getting closer. A couple emerges from a side street, arm in arm, speaking quietly to each other in Turkish. Their words float past you, musical and unintelligible, fading as they continue downhill. Lamps hang from some of the buildings, decorative ones, not functional streetlights. Paper lanterns, maybe, or metal and glass, their forms indistinct but their glow warm and inviting. They sway slightly in the breeze that moves through the narrow passage, their light shifting across the walls, creating moving shadows that feel alive. You notice cats, as always. One sits in a doorway, its eyes reflecting green when they catch the light. Another crosses the street ahead of you, unhurried, pausing in the middle to look back at something you can't see before continuing on its way. A third sleeps on a windowsill, curled impossibly tight, its breathing barely visible. The street opens into a small square, not grand, just a widening where several narrow streets converge. A fountain sits at the center, though the water is off now, the basin empty except for a few leaves. Benches ring the space, most empty, one occupied by an elderly man smoking, the ember of his cigarette bright in the darkness. You sit on one of the empty benches. The stone is cold through your clothes, but you don't mind. You settle back and let the night breathe around you. The square is quiet, but you can hear the city beyond, distant traffic, a motorcycle passing somewhere, the faint music from an open window, voices carrying from streets you can't see. Above, the sky is dark but not black. The city's glow, all its lights combined, creates a haze that obscures most stars. But a few are visible, bright enough to push through, steady and distant. The moon hasn't risen yet, or perhaps has already set. Time feels uncertain here, unmoored from the precise measurements that govern daylight hours. You stand eventually and make your way back toward the water. The streets descend now, gravity helping your steps, pulling you back toward the Bosphorus. The lamps continue their amber glow, creating a pathway of light and shadow, each pool of illumination separated by darkness that you pass through without hesitation. You emerge onto the waterfront promenade. The change is immediate. The space opens wide, the air cooler and fresher, carrying the scent of the sea. The Bosphorus spreads before you, dark and vast, its surface barely visible except where lights touch it. The European side glows across the water, a long line of illumination, yellow and white, punctuated by the lit bridges that span the strait, their cables glowing like strings of captured stars. You walk along the promenade slowly. Other people walk too, but they're spaced far apart, each claiming their own section of railing, their own view of the water. A man stands with his hands in his pockets, staring across the strait at something you can't identify. A woman leans against the railing, her phone raised, trying to capture the lights, though photographs never quite hold what the eyes see. Boats move on the water, their lights bright against the darkness. A ferry crosses, its windows glowing yellow, packed with late commuters making the journey home. Smaller boats drift closer to shore, their running lights, red and green and white marking their positions, their presence. Somewhere in the distance, a large ship sounds its horn, the note deep and resonant, carrying across the water and fading slowly. The bridges dominate the view, two of them visible from here, their spans elegant and sure, carrying traffic that appears as streams of light moving from one side to the other. The lights reflect in the water below, creating vertical columns that shimmer and break with each small wave, reforming constantly, never still. You find a bench facing the water and sit. This is your final pause. You feel it without deciding it, the sense of completion of the circle closing. You've crossed this city from water to water, from dawn to darkness, from one side to the other and back again. You've walked through its layers, the monumental and the intimate, the historic and the everyday, the colorful and the shadowed. The water moves gently, lapping against the embankment below. The sound is rhythmic, patient, the same sound that has marked every moment near the water today, morning at the fisherman's side, afternoon on the ferry, evening at sunset, and now night when the water is felt more than seen. You think about the day that has passed, though thinking feels too active for what you're doing. You're simply holding it, the sensations, the moments, the accumulated weight of hours spent walking and watching and being present. The salt air of arrival, the coffee's thickness on your tongue, the colored houses climbing the hillside, the calls layering across the evening sky. All of it sits with you, carried not as memory but as sensation, still immediate, still felt. The city continues around you. That's what you notice most clearly now. Istanbul doesn't pause for your departure, doesn't acknowledge your presence or absence. It simply continues, as it has for centuries, as it will for centuries more. The ferries will keep crossing. The calls will sound tomorrow evening and the evening after. The lamps will glow amber on narrow streets. The cats will sleep and hunt and sun themselves. The Bosphorus will reflect whatever sky hangs above it. This continuity is comforting rather than diminishing. You're not separate from it. You've been part of it all day. Another body moving through the streets. Another pair of eyes watching the water. another presence absorbed into the vast, patient rhythm of the city. And you'll leave eventually, drift away as you drifted in, but the city will remain, breathing its daily breath, holding its layers existing. A couple walks past, speaking softly. Their voices don't reach you as words, just as sound, intimate, gentle, private. They move on, disappearing into the darkness beyond the reach of the nearest lamp. The lights across the water shimmer. A breeze picks up, cooler now, carrying the promise of deeper night. You feel it on your face, in your hair. And you breathe it in, this Istanbul air, this mixture of sea and stone and age and life. You close your eyes for a moment. When you open them, nothing has changed, but somehow everything feels different. Not the scene before you, but your relation to it. You're ready to drift, to let the city recede, to carry its textures and rhythms with you wherever you go next. You stand slowly. The bench behind you is empty again, ready for whoever comes next. Another traveler, another resident, another person seeking a moment of stillness beside the water. You don't look back at it. You look once more at the Bosphorus, at the lights reflecting on its dark surface, at the bridges glowing against the night sky, at the European side spreading its illumination across the water. Then you turn and begin to walk. Not toward anything specific, not away from anything in particular, just walking, your footsteps soft on the promenade, the amber lamps lighting your path, the city breathing quietly around you. The night holds you gently as you move through it, and somewhere behind you, or ahead of you, or all around you, Istanbul continues. The ferries cross, the cats sleep, the water laps against stone, the lamps glow amber. The calls will sound again tomorrow. The city breathes, endless and patient, holding its layers existing. And you drift, carrying it with you, letting it fade slowly, gently, like the light fading from the sky hours ago. Not disappearing, just transforming, becoming memory, becoming sensation, becoming part of what you carry as you move through the world. The city continues. The water continues. The night continues. And you, drifting through it all, continue too.